This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
Students stand up for a fired school employee by walking out. Good evening. I'm Amanda Starantino.
And I'm Mark Mullins. You saw this story first and only on RTV6 yesterday. Former Tri-West High School Attendance Secretary David Pyatt told Call 6 the school was failing to protect students from a teacher who is charged with child seduction. The Northwest Hendricks School District fired Pyatt after we started promoting that story. Well, today, students plan to walk out for 10:25 a.m. But there was a planned fire drill about 2 minutes before that scheduled time. Once students went back inside, a group gathered their belongings and walked out. Some students say teachers blocked exits trying to prevent the walkout. They also tell us once they left, they were not allowed back inside. One student said she forgot her car keys inside and she was not allowed to go inside to get them. Some of the students we spoke with say this situation has started to impact their day-to-day life at school and their ability to learn.
It's just kind of sad walking into a classroom and just feeling like you can't learn because the teachers and administration is just so focused on one problem that it just kind of brings all the students to have anxiety and pressure, and it's just not a good environment.
The school district says students were not blocked from leaving or re-entering the school, and they say absences today will be considered unexcused.
Students will be back in class tomorrow in the Eastern Hancock School District after being closed 2 days for illness. The superintendent canceled classes yesterday and today due to the high rate of illness from the flu, strep throat, bronchitis, and other ailments. He said it was not an outbreak of the coronavirus. Buildings and school buses were cleaned while the students were at home. Kevin.
We've got a lot to talk about tonight. Consider this the first part of our conversation. We had some clouds, showers, then a break in the clouds, and you can see those streaming back in. We hit 59 today. Then look what happens. Temperatures at least 20 degrees colder, and that's not factoring in the wind chill. It will feel very raw tomorrow. Across central Indiana, drying out. A couple of showers, Newcastle to Muncie northeast. Look what's going to happen. This will pinwheel in colder temperatures, strong wind, also some rain and snow showers. That's what we expect to develop overnight and into the morning hours tomorrow. Nothing cold immediately on the horizon. 51 in Indy, still 50 and lower 50s along the Wabash River. You see the colors change as you go west into Illinois and Iowa. Those are the stronger winds that are still to come. Right now, steady west-northwest wind around 15 to 20 miles per hour. We'll see the gusts, though, to almost 40 at times over the next 24 hours. 4 a.m., pink is a rain-snow mix, and by 7 a.m., there are some snow showers. We'll talk about how long the colder air sticks around coming up.
An Indianapolis man convicted of a love triangle murder was just sentenced to 60 years in prison. In January, jurors found Dominique Johnson guilty of the murder in the August 2018 shooting of Antoine Walton at a Northwest Side apartment complex parking lot. Investigators say Johnson tracked down Walton in the lot on Lenox Lane and shot him in the head. A friend who was with Walton shot and wounded Johnson. Investigators later learned the shooting stemmed from a love triangle involving Walton and Johnson.
The shape of the presidential race is shifting once again. It is now basically a two-man race as Senator Elizabeth Warren has also dropped out. ABC's Serena Marshall has more from Washington.
Senator Elizabeth Warren saying goodbye to the presidential race.
I will not be running for president in 2020.
Bowing out after a disappointing showing on Super Tuesday, even failing to win her home state of Massachusetts. The race now a two-man show.
All those little girls who are going to have to wait 4 more years. That's going to be hard.
Former Vice President Joe Biden racking up 10 states on Super Tuesday, knocking Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders out of frontrunner status. The big comeback after endorsements from his former rivals, including Michael Bloomberg yesterday.
Defeating Donald Trump starts with uniting behind the candidate with the best shot to do it.
Leading to accusations that Biden's backers in the Democratic establishment are ganging up on Sanders.
An establishment of all those hard-working middle-class people, those African-Americans,
Sanders trails Biden in the popular vote and delegates, struggling to bring out the younger voters he appeals to.
Have we been as successful as I would hope in bringing young people in? And the answer is no.
Sanders also receiving flack for this new ad featuring former Democratic President Barack Obama.
I want somebody who's going to fight for them, and they will find it in Bernie.
an ad that could be easily confused for an endorsement, even as the former president has remained quiet. With Elizabeth Warren out, she's now a coveted endorsement, but she says she's not quite ready to make one. Instead, she wants to take some time, take a breath, and think. Serena Marshall, ABC News, Washington.
Are you on the fence about being an organ donor? Well, coming up, the story of a little Fisher's girl may just help you make up your mind.
Plus, a story that points out the sunny side of eating eggs, why the popular breakfast item is getting new respect from health experts.
Storm Team 6 working for you.
This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
A 10-year-old girl's dance dreams are back on beat after undergoing multiple surgeries and surviving a 4-year fight with a rare kidney disease that affects children.
RTV6's Troy Washington is working for you to explain the miraculous story of how a donor made it possible for her to work on her moves again.
She's all smiles now, and 10-year-old Lydia Check has every reason to grin.
My kidneys were getting worse by the moment.
For 4 years, a battle with a rare kidney disease slowed this dancing queen down.
It was at a point that I've prayed and prayed and prayed for something to happen, and I called the church that day and I asked God to take the weight off of my shoulder.
Paula Check noticed something was going on with her daughter in kindergarten, but it took a while before doctors realized Lydia's kidneys were failing.
Is my child gonna, survive this? Is it gonna be terminal if we don't find a donor? What's her quality of life going to be?
Check says it was the Children's Organ Transplant Association who gave her peace of mind, sticking by her side every step of the way up until the donor call came in 2018 and beyond.
When Mom got that call, I just started jumping up and down.
But making it through the transplant and getting a new kidney wasn't the last step.
Seeing her go through recovery was so much easier than seeing her go through the decline of kidney failure.
Spending a month here at Riley was only the beginning of the road to recovery. It took 4 months before Check even stepped back into a classroom. Now she's dancing again, and she says this time she won't stop. Working for you and Fishers, Troy Washington, RTV6.
Well, the family is still working to handle the financial toil of the entire process. Find out on how you can help when you read Lydia's full story on theindychannel.com.
Coming up, if you can't believe it's not butter, you're right, it's not. A possible butter substitute might gross you out, but some experts say it's better for you.
And you've got to believe temperatures will feel like the teens tomorrow morning. A cold Friday on the way, maybe even some snow showers to confirm the cold temperatures, but they won't last all that long.
You want the way you want at TomWood.com.
Eggs, they're good for you, then bad for you. Well, now they're good for you again, sort of. A team of researchers at Harvard looked at the long-term effects of egg consumption. They studied 215,000 people over a 34-year period. The big result is that eating an egg a day poses no additional risk of heart disease. Researchers say you can have 2 eggs at breakfast as long as you only do it 2 or 3 times per week. The only exception is if you have type 2 diabetes, then eggs do increase your risk of heart disease.
This makes me want some eggs now.
Yes. For breakfast, right? People are bugging out over a new way of eating.
Scientists are experimenting with insect fat and say it could be better for you than butter. Kai Beach has this story.
No, fat is not the enemy, and that's such a common misconception.
Annika Duden is a big fan of fat. All kinds of fat.
We are cooking some pasture-raised eggs in some grass-fed butter.
Depending on her day, this nutritional therapist says she consumes up to 60% of her calories from fat.
Fat, to start off, fat does not make you fat. Here's the truth. It's actually the sugar and the carbohydrates that contribute to the adipose tissue, or what we call body fat. First, I thought it was a little weird, but after doing some more research...
Now this fat lover is seeing a new trend in the fat game. Insect fat.
Well, it sounds gross, right? It kind of is weird, but I can't really be one to say that because I am personally a fan of cricket protein powder. So if we're going to use the insects for another purpose, I think it's great.
And so do many others. Across the world, there's more people experimenting with getting their essential fats from insects. Built Belgian researchers from Ghent University discovered that fat made from the black fly larva is a more sustainable and environmentally friendly option compared to its dairy version, and that insect fat actually makes a pretty good substitute for traditional butter.
This is the sausage, yes, right here.
Americans are catching on and taking notice about using insect fat.
So those are Chinese black ants. They're very flavorful, very lime citrus forward.
Jonathan Sanchez is the sous chef at Linger Restaurant in Denver, Colorado. He says of all the options on the menu, there's one dish that sticks out the most, a meal made with crickets and ants.
When I first started here, I thought it was really interesting that we served bugs, but I've grown to like them a lot. The ants are probably one of the most flavorful things I've ever cooked with and had.
And so do many customers.
It's really good. It's got like a curry spice. There's crunchy in it. It's curry. Super crunchy.
Food scientists say more than 2 billion people eat insects every day across the world, and this interesting diet is catching on in America. I'm Kai Beach reporting.
Well, your smartphone might be making your headaches worse. Researchers looked at 400 people who suffer headaches. They found smartphone use did not cause more headaches, but it was associated with more headaches severe enough to require pain relievers. Researchers aren't sure of the exact cause. They think it could be due to eye strain or bending your neck to look at the screen.
A warning tonight from the Better Business Bureau: beware of ghost tax preparers. That's when an uncertified individual does tax paperwork, which can lead to problems for taxpayers. The ghost tax preparer does all the paperwork and math for the tax return, but ends up not signing the return. As a result, the taxes are considered self-filed by the taxpayer. Now, it may not seem like a big deal, and sometimes it is not, unless something is wrong with the tax return. Since the taxes are considered self-filed, the taxpayer is then liable for omissions and errors like underpayment and negligence. By law, if someone prepares federal tax returns, they have to have a valid identification number. And a big hiring fair today in Hamilton County. If you missed it, you can still get in touch with the employers who took part. The Hamilton County Youth Assistance Program held its 3rd annual adult career hiring fair. Only companies that are hiring for full-time workers with a minimum salary of $27,000 were invited to participate. More than 50 companies took part. You can find a list on hiringhoosiers.com and look for career resources. If you're still interested, you can call 317-758-4431, extension 4400.
Now you see it, now you don't. Twitter is testing out a new feature that would make some tweets disappear. They call them fleets, and they work kind of like the Instagram story. Users can't respond to them publicly or retweet, and they can only be viewed by clicking on a person's Twitter avatar. After 24 hours, they disappear. A spokesperson says this feature could encourage people to share without worrying about a public response. Fleets will be subject to the same content rules as tweets. Could this photo prove that life does exist on Mars? NASA says maybe. An image posted to NASA's astronomy picture on the Day web page and Science blog this week is making headlines and getting a lot of attention. It shows a hole on a Mars volcano discovered by chance in 2011. It looks to be an opening to an underground cavern. The opening is about 115 feet across, and the cavern is roughly 66 feet deep. It's not clear why there is a circular crater around the hole. This kind of hole is particularly interesting to scientists. The reason? Caves are protected from Mars's harsh surface, meaning they are relatively good candidates for containing life.
It looks like the peephole on a door to me.
Yeah, it does.
It looks tiny.
They're looking at us through that.
Through that, saying, hey, you're watching us with your cameras.
You'll look at tomorrow through a different lens, so to speak. 24 hours where it's quite cold relative to what we're used to. Then we start to warm up again over the weekend. If you're counting 2 days from our time change as we spring forward on the clock, just a couple weeks from spring and the roar of May in the distance. As far as our showers, that was fast moving as it cut across the northern half of the state. There are the remaining showers as the first push of moisture. Newcastle over to Winchester and Portland. Another little downpour there north of Peru. Those two will head to the east, but the big picture, low pressure here, which will be responsible for the strong wind will pinwheel some rain and snow showers into the state, as well as open the door to the colder temperatures. While you're sleeping, we'll see rain showers mixing with some snow. 4 a.m. This is what it looks like. The pink represents that rain-snow combination. And then I think just flurries and snow showers during the morning hours, say 7 to about noon. Some of these snow showers may put a quick cover in the northeast portion of the viewing area, but overall the impact should be minimal. Temperature impact will be felt. You'll need your heaviest coat and gloves. Temperatures stuck in the 30s and going nowhere. That wind chill will be noticeable in the teens through most of the morning. We'll come up into the 20s during the afternoon hours, but obviously that's well below what is the predicted high of 38. It's the wind that will be so strong through the day tomorrow. We're only below average for tomorrow. Then temperatures climb just above and then way above by the time we get to Sunday. There are the strong winds. Northwest, it's a cold northwest wind gusting into the mid-30s. I think you'll hear the wind at times tonight after midnight and then stay strong through the day tomorrow. 35 at noon, that northwest wind at 20 with gusts to 30 or more through the afternoon hours. Temperatures stuck in the 30s just about everywhere, but that's our launching pad for the weekend. Close to 50 Saturday, right at the 60-degree mark as we get to Sunday. And of course, we are changing the clock as you go to bed Saturday night into Sunday morning. Saturday, lots of sunshine. Temperatures with a south wind start to make their move closer to 50 degrees. And on Sunday, not an issue. We're trying for 60. As far as our rain chances, next best chance will come on Monday. Should have some fairly widespread rain. Temperature at 58. A little bit cooler, but still in the 50s with a chance for showers Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
All right, cold morning on the way.
Yes.
Thanks, Kevin, for that.
We'll be right back.
Including Pittsburgh Paramount Paint.
Throwback Thursday time, and it's hard to believe that it has been 35 years since we are the world.
Yeah, the group was called USA for Africa, and it was organized largely by legendary producer Quincy Jones, singer and activist Harry Belafonte, and the song was written by Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie.
And proceeds from the song went to help with famine relief for Africa, and it made a huge splash all across the country and right here in Indianapolis. If you remember record stores, something you don't really see anymore, We Are the World flew off the shelves of the stores. Former RTV6 reporter Greg Todd went to Peach's Records just after the song came out, and it seemed as if everyone wanted a copy.
Only the $1.98 single is available now, but a 12-inch single is on its way, and a full album should be out in a few weeks. Peach's store director Don Ray says in the 12 hours they've had the single, they've sold at least 75 copies.
This is probably selling more in one day than we sell of any other in a month.
This store only has about 20 copies left, but is ordering as many more as it can get a hold of. There are several reasons behind the popularity of the song. All the hype it's received, the 46 music stars who appear, and of course the cause, world hunger. But it's also written by Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie, a couple of guys with some experience selling records.
And We Are the World was also in high demand at area radio stations. The phones rang off the hook at FM 97 WENS long before it was Hank FM.
And by the way, what you're seeing here is called a cart. It looks like an old 8-track tape from way back when. That's how most radio stations used to play all of their songs. You can see that entire story right now at the IndyChannel.com/history. Well, here's a blast from the past for country music fans, the Dixie Chicks.
Forget the past. The Chicks are back on the country music scene for the first time in 14 years. On Wednesday, the trio released their first single, Gaslighter, off their upcoming album of the same name. By this morning, the music video already had more than 1 million views. The last album for Natalie Maines, Emily Strayer, and Marty McGuire, taking the long way, won Album of the Year in 2007. The new album is set to release May 1st.
Well, there you go. That's how it goes.
Okay, continuing with our Throwback Thursday theme, check this out. This is when I had a wardrobe malfunction. Can you see it?
Oh, yeah, you ripped the sleeve.
I had just started working out again, and my forearms were just popping through the shirt. So
oh, wow. When did that happen?
It was a dress shirt that became a short sleeve shirt by the late news. 32 in the morning, shockingly colder with flurries, 35 at midday. Temperature never gets out of the 30s.
You make a muscle now?
I'm checking to make sure I haven't blown anything out. All right, we're good.
Good night.
See you at 11.